Hello folks, Jason Chrisman, JC's Bees, a Central Ohio beekeeper. About 3 weeks ago, Vevor reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in trying out their garden wagon, this device here. And I've used it to clean up some brush around the house since then. And this morning I'm going to throw a load of firewood in there. I'm going to haul it back to the house. It's got a tilt feature, which once tilted, offers a swivel motion via the axle. Let me show you that real quick. So you would simply pull this lever, the bed dumps, and now you're able to swivel it via the axle. To lock it, you just put it back in place and let go of the handle. Super easy to dump. You can either do it by hand or with your foot. Now I do want to note, to hook this up to your hitch, you're going to need a hitch pin hookup. This does not hook to your ball. You can hook this to your mower, to your ATV, or do like I did and pull it behind your UTV. Pulls really nice, backs up really well. It's got a very heavy duty 2" by 2" tongue, and I'm pretty impressed. I'll tell you what really impressed me. Right out of the box, these tires were already pumped up. When does that happen? Never. Usually if you're a person without a compressor, you've got to run to the gas station to pump up your tires. And that's not the case when you buy this from Vevor. The tires come pumped up, and assembly took less than an hour. Okay, so I haven't looked at the instructions, but we have 2 carriages, an axle, 2 tires, a rubber mat, what looks like part of a hitch with a release to let the bed dump. Here's the tongue, and here's the side rails that go around it. So there is 5 like the ones on top and 1 like this. Down here, I believe this is what our axle is going to go through. They're probably a 1/4 inch thick, definitely heavy duty. Same with the tongue, it's made very, very well. Look at that. So let's get it assembled. So to this point, it's been pretty straightforward. I've only had to rely on the instructions for a couple things. You bolt the 2 carriages together here in the middle. What I do like is everything's got jam nuts, so they've got nylon in them, so they're not able to loosen up on their own. So you bolt these together via these 2 bolts. Then your axle plates go on. I got these loose. Your 2 short bolts for your axle on each side. I gotta go through and tighten this stuff up, but first I'm gonna put the tongue on and attach it to here. All right, everything's right and tight. I do want to note that up to this point, everything's been a 1/2 inch socket with the exception of this here. I just used a pair of pliers to tighten that. So I also want to note that your neck or your tongue does swivel from side to side, so that's an interesting feature. Also locks into place right here. So we're going to get ready and put the wheels on it now and then flip it over. All right, so she's flipped over on her wheels now. Got her hitch pin here. I'm going to go ahead and stick that in the hitch. But while I was getting it out of the bag, I was wrong. A wrench did come with it. So when I said no tools were included, I was wrong. You could do it the old manual way with a wrench. Just 1 wrench. The other end you got to hold with your fingers or your teeth. I don't know. So now we're going to stick our side rails on and throw in our rubber mat. Now I did notice when I was tightening up these top bolts, our tubing is a little bit whopper jawed here, so we may have to take something and smack that back and square it up a little bit for our side rails to fit down in there properly. Now this one, I can pretty much tell you where it goes. It goes right here. And got the similar problem here. This is, let me get out your light. This is banged in a little bit, so I'm gonna have to bend that out for this to drop down in. Nothing major, just little cosmetic stuff. So to fix my tubing, I just took my pliers, stuck it in here, and squeezed the 2 tubes together. Look how much better it looks. Did the same back here with this. Just took my pliers, put on that little lip, and bent it out a little bit. Now it slides in and out real nice. So what I want to do now is I'd like to throw some wood in here. I'm going to remove this rubber mat, which is provided when you buy the wagon. I don't want to jab any holes in it, and I figure any of the small debris that wants to fall off can fall off through the bottom and onto the road as I'm heading home, versus falling off on my floor when I take this firewood in the house once I get home. So let's throw some wood in here and let's see how well it pulls and how well it handles. This is supposed to handle 1,500 pounds and it'll hold 15 cubic feet. Now, to give you an idea of how much room that is, I took a picture with a 5-gallon bucket in it. I figured everybody could relate to a 5-gallon bucket. That kind of gives you an idea of how much room is in this little wagon. So let's throw some wood in here. Remove the rubber mat. Nice heavy duty rubber mat. The only thing I can say, the only thing I do want to point out though, with that rubber mat, when you open this new up out of the box, the smell of chemicals in that rubber is horrible. It took about 2 rains leaving this outside, letting it get rained on, for that smell to actually go away. We're approaching the end of March. I live in central Ohio. We're still experiencing cold mornings. We're actually about 32 degrees right now, and going through the wood. So I'm gonna take this home, split some of it, take it in the house. I actually know where there's some oak already cut here on the farm. I think we're gonna pull over there and top this off the rest of the way. All right, so we're at the next location. I've got some firewood off to the side here. I'm gonna throw it on here and we'll see how well it hauls it. This oak will have to sit out and dry. The outside's pretty wet. All right, so that's a pretty substantial load. If you know anything about oak, it's extremely heavy. Seems like I read years ago, if you cut down a red oak today, I think it was like 8 55-gallon drums of water. That's how much water is in an oak tree. So being that it was on the ground and got rained on underneath this covering of leaves and grass, that oak's still going to be a little bit wet, but everything else there ready to burn. So what we'll do is take this back to the house now, see how it hauls. Got to go back up this driveway through a couple deep mud puddles, and we'll see how well it does. Okay, so from like here all the way up there to the hay wagon, which you can see right there, it's pretty muddy, so we'll see how well she hauls. So there it is, folks, the Vevor Garden Wagon. I think it's right around $256 to buy it, but if you use my discount code, which is down in the comments section, I'll pin it to the first comment and I'll put it in the video description, you can save 5%. It's not huge, but in today's world, every penny counts. So check out the Vevor wagon and pick yourself up one. Very handy cart to use around the farm, around the homestead, or just out in the yard. Like I said, just earlier this week, I did use it to clean up some tree limbs around my place. Worked out very, very well. The dump feature was very handy, not having to unload manually, and that's probably what I'll use today when I get this back to the house. So, if you're in the market for a garden wagon, go check it out. I think you'll be very, very happy, just like myself. So thanks for your time today. Thanks for checking out the Vevor wagon. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below in the comments section, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one, folks. So this is kind of, I guess, bonus footage because I wasn't planning to include this. I ended up bringing that pile of wood home, making it into a pile, and just getting to it today, which is 2 days later after recording that video. And I wanted to include what that little pile of wood did for the little wagon. You can clearly see it holds a decent amount of firewood. These are decent sized pieces. They're all 16 inches long, and yeah, there's some nice firewood in here, but it holds quite a bit of wood. And I just thought I'd throw this little clip on here just to show you it's a pretty handy little wagon to have, folks. And I want to go ahead and state the tailgate's removable, and all of these orange pieces. You can take it down just to the black part if you wanted to. That's an option.